The main objective of the BNC is to lay a firm foundation for cooperation and partnership between the two countries within the broader objectives of the African Union and with the focus of bringing Africa into the mainstream of global political, social, and economic developments. For an example, the consolidation of the African agenda. Since the inaugural meeting of the BNC, 8 sessions have been held, with the 8th session taking place on the 23rd May 2012 in South Africa. A total of 34 agreements and memoranda of understanding have been concluded since inception of the BNC, thus demonstrating the extent and depth of our bilateral cooperation. While we appreciate the existence of so many agreements and memoranda of understanding, we would appreciate more if their implementation could be intensified for the mutual benefit of the respective countries. We are happy that the bilateral economic relations between the two countries have significantly improved in the last 16 years, as evidenced by the growing bilateral trade figures and investment. More than 120 South African companies operate in Nigeria currently, a huge growth from a mere 4 companies in 1999. Nonetheless, there is room for greater business-to-business engagements, particularly in the areas Nigeria has identified as potential growth sectors. These include diversification of the economy, namely electricity generation and supply, agriculture and agro-processing, tourism development, including the hospitality sector, mining, banking, infrastructure development, aviation, manufacturing, and the automotive sector. We must strive for the diversification of our economies so as to cast the net wide enough to create more job opportunities for our people, to improve their living conditions and grow our economies through domestic resources in the first instance. In doing this, we would break away from the colonial legacy that turned Africa into providers of primary commodities and recipients of processed goods. This is important because the current state of affairs makes Africa vulnerable to the volatility of the international economy that sustains the uneven terms of trade. This diversification will go further to improve the impact that Africa can have in the global economy and to reconfigure the terms of trade. We must strive to bring the manufacturing plants closer to the sources of raw materials. South Africa and Nigeria can, to a large extent, complement each other towards the achievement of this objective. This current global economic climate, as the previous global economic crisis, has exposed the vulnerability of our economies and currencies, and thus calls for concerted efforts towards South-South and intra-African cooperation. Economic cooperation between our two countries can therefore serve as bedrock of the continent's economic cooperation and intra-Africa trade. This is the kind of leadership Africa expects South Africa and Nigeria to provide. In this regard, South Africa's solid minerals mining experience can contribute to solid minerals exploration in Nigeria. Our experience in electricity generation can also be tapped into to assist in Nigeria's electricity generation, to name but a few. Also important is the need to improve people-to-people linkages. The South African Airways direct flight route between Johannesburg and Abuja, which commenced operations on the 26th January 2015, has added to the Johannesburg and Lagos route, which has been operational